All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mining Experience Episode 4, where we will discuss mining ventures in Mexico. My name is Mohammed. I'm going to be your host for today, and I graduated from McGill University with a Bachelor of Mining Engineering. And I've been with ProMine for almost 3 years right now. And I'm here today with Martin. Martin, how are you today?
Pretty good, Mohammed. Thanks for asking. To everyone in the audience who doesn't know me, my name is Mark Diaz. I'm a mining engineer from the University of Sonora and an account executive at ProMine for the US. Today, we're starting our fourth episode for the mining experience. It's been a pretty good experience throughout the whole 4 months that we've been doing this project. We've been talking about feasibility studies, drones, and dilution, which has been giving pretty good information to our audience overall. And what better way to start our topic for mining ventures in Mexico with our host for today, Mr. Jesús Castro.
Excellent. Yes, absolutely. And so, as you mentioned, yes, today's topic will be about mining ventures in Mexico. And we know that Canadian mining companies play a huge role in the exploration phase in Mexico, which contributes to the economic growth of the country. So, in this episode, we'll discuss the different factors that affect mining investments and their implications in the mining industry in Mexico. So we have the honor to host a very special guest, Mr. Jesús Castro Mora, geologist engineer from the National Autonomous University of Mexico, with over 30 years of experience in exploration, evaluation, and prospecting of mineral deposits all over Mexico. To date, he completed postgraduate studies from the Geophysics Institute of the UNAM, research thesis and process related with the linkage between porphyry and epithermal systems, and he is officially a PhD candidate. Mr. Jesus, welcome and thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for all your audience. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you and to share a little bit of my experiences in mining industry. First of all, I would like to apologize because my my English language limitations, but I will try to do my best. Thank you very much.
I think you're doing pretty just fine. Yeah. So no worries at all. So I guess we can start about to talk about a little bit about the overall mining industry in Mexico. So we know that the role of Canadian companies in exploration contributes a lot to the economic growth of Mexico. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that, on how exploration helps the economy?
Yeah, well, basically, Canadian companies plays a very important role on the exploration in Mexico. And that happens basically with changes on the mining law approximately in 1994, 1996, when changes happened to the mining law. And that detonates new stocking claims all over Mexico. And with that, many junior companies arrives to Mexico to develop in that period. We have now more than a decade with this kind of exploration models. So since that, the mining companies, the Canadian mining companies, contributes a lot with the development of the mining industry in Mexico. Yes. Yeah, basically the changes eliminates the ancient Mineral Resource Council, CRM, and becomes into the Mexican Geological Survey. And the Mexican Geological Survey, since the beginning, has producing cartography in different scales. And with that action, a lot of junior companies arrived to Mexico to stack new claims and put new exploration projects on the country. Yes.
I
Very
see.
important.
Very good, yeah. And also, excuse me. So with this arrival of junior mining companies, how would that help in terms of investment? Because it seems like with like last year, COVID started, and I can imagine that investments fell by a lot. So if in 2018 or 2019 investments were at a certain level, it might be that because of COVID, it that investment amount reduced. But are those junior companies helping the attraction of investment, or are they mainly helping directly the economy of Mexico?
Yeah, of course. Investment still remain in Mexico. And after 2011, 2019, and now with the pandemic, COVID pandemic, the sector of mining industry suffer a decreasing from approximately 4% to 2%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot because of the pandemic. But I must tell that many companies leave the country because of that, and because the markets at the same time crashes because the economic problems all over the world. So some companies that have advanced projects in progress still remains, but many others have to leave the country. But basically in northern Mexico, the mining activities carried out by the juniors or the major companies remains intact at this moment. So the contribution, even with this complication, is very important for considering the Canadian investment in Mexico.
Absolutely, and I can see how that also helps in terms. It doesn't only help the economy, but it helps us also the things like social development. Activities in the communities, developing new roads, constructions.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah, absolutely. It's part of the activity to provide benefits to the communities. Is part of the game because when we are exploring a new project, we have the first thing to be considered is to establish good community relationships and to give back to the community some benefits, like you said, could be roads or benefits to the community, like improve the buildings for the schools or whatever for the communities. And also the cash flowing on the local economy is very important with these activities.
Absolutely, and I can see also Mexico as being, an exporter because it has more approximately 17 essential minerals, right? So it can, it mines a lot of different minerals, and there's a lot of potential here to not only help Mexico itself, but to help other countries as well, which is something that's huge.
Yeah, that's really important because the role of Mexico on the mining industry is very important. It's the first producer of silver all over the world, and occupies the top 5 positions considering different minerals and elements. So the activity in Mexico is presents all the time important impact on the other economies, of course. Yes,
absolutely.
One thing that I would like to build a little bit more on was what Jesus mentioned about the social licenses that mining companies need at the beginning of any project. I've seen that it's really important how, your first contact with a community is when you first begin your exploration or basically your exploration. And that's the first contact that a community, which is mostly a separate community, which lives in remote areas. And that's one of the first contacts that those communities have with a mining company. So like Jesus mentioned, I think it's also really important to start off correctly with those communities and to build a long-lasting relationship. And one thing that we saw with COVID most recently, when everything began, not only like Jesus mentioned, almost all mining operations had to cease their operation, just left some mills working, the stuff that needs to have a continuous operation. But it's in those rural communities where most mining companies actually help those communities, not only with face mask, gel, but also with food and providing medical equipment, as we know, respirators and so on. So like Jesus mentioned, it's critical to have that relation from the beginning of exploration all the way to the production phase, so you can have a good relationship with your community and have it stay until the end of your operation and continue to the closing phase. But one thing I would like to ask you, Jesus, what is your experience that you could compare with a successful exploration that is being used, that was previously developed by a mining company, that could now be used by new junior exploration companies? What are some of the important aspects that they took into consideration, which can be used by new companies going into new places and investing?
Yeah, well, in this case, there's a number of successful experience and projects with the action combined with junior companies and communities. And when we talk about mining in Mexico, especially during the current times, we always think on northern or northwest Mexico, but there's some other good exploration projects in southern Mexico. For example, good and successful experience was with Fortuna silver mines in Oaxaca with San Jose project, where this company established since the beginning a good relationship with the community. And that happens 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, there was nothing. There was a mine over there. And now it's one of the most technified underground mine in southern Mexico. And that experience expanded to all the Tabiche mining district, where I personally was working in 2008, putting a drilling program with San Jerónimo Tabiche community. And the experience obtained with Fortuna silver mines and on the new project with New Strike Capital, where I was working on, was very, very successful, because with that knowledge, all the community now was agree with the new presence of a new company on the mining district. Another example is gold resources with David Gold Mine in Oaxaca as well. The same story, and the same situation happened with Nucay Los Filos mine in the Guerrero Gold Belt in Guerrero State. Those experience show us how the success experience with Torex resource with the Limon Guajes deposit, which is actually the largest gold mine in Mexico. Those experiences, I think, can show very well what you are asking me.
And I can see how that also can influence the way they operate in terms of, environmental practices. So that could also serve as some sort of inspiration to the junior companies.
Yeah, of course. All these cases that I mentioned walks away with hand in hand with the environmental regulation and environmental care and actions to preserve our ecosystems. So you cannot visualize yourself working in a mining project without considering the environmental issues involved in. Yeah.
So let's move on a little bit to the software part. So when and let's say an exploration company, they're trying to assess their mineral deposit. How important is it to use a software so that that's well advanced to give them the good results that they want?
Yeah. Well, if you think that mining has an story of more than 500 years in Mexico, you can assume that the richest part of the deposits were exploited or were mined. So now to find an ore deposit or a mineral deposit, it requires much more accuracy on everything. I mean, in mapping, and you have to use teledetection or remote sensing or whatever, because one thing it's important to keep in mind: all the metals confirm an anomaly, geochemistry anomaly of the air crust, because their presence is in ppm or ppbs, which is very, very low average comparing with some other elements. So technology, it's very important for locate the deposit and then to measure the grades, and also to establish the tonnage or resources or reserves of certain deposits. So probably 10 years ago, technology doesn't be used like today. But today, every evaluation or every estimation of resources requires different kinds of softwares, of course, and because otherwise it could be practically impossible to visualize the geometry or the form or certain deposit, especially when the deposits are like a porphyry system, which is irregular. With vein deposits is another story, because those are tabular bodies. You can measure the long, the wide, and etc. But in irregular deposits like skarns or porphyry systems, you need to modelize. You need to modeling the stocks, and you need to modeling the fractures or the faulting systems in order to know to have a better knowledge of the deposit. So softwares and technologies is so much important for any in any stage of any mining project, of course.
And like you said, it evolved a lot, so much through the years. And I find that it doesn't only help, like for better resource estimation and so on, but if you use, like a well designed software that could help you, it will help you recover more ore, so less waste, which will reduce your ecological footprint of your mining operation.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I feel like it's interconnected with everything else that you do. So, like you said, it's something that's very important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If now, as the presence of metals is in PPBs or in PPMs, so many of the exploration or the mining activities are open pitables, which means that you have to design the pit with a power software to do that, in order to know how many tons you have to move and where you put the tailings or whatever. So it is really important to be uh, conscious that they need to get always the adequate software for your operations. Yes, absolutely.
For sure. Yes.
Yes, that's very important, Jesus, how it is crucial to have your software to be specific for each task, either if it's planning or, as we see nowadays, as we can see a more rapid change inside fleet management, and also the use of artificial intelligence to have autonomous trucks.
Yeah, that's right.
I wanted to ask you, based on your perspective, how do you see politics affecting the mining industry and mining investments as of right now?
Well, that's a very good question, because as you know, we have now in Mexico a new government since 2008, 18, and with this new politics, investment fall down significantly since 2 years ago, because I must say two important things: new taxes for the mining industry, and another important thing is no new stacking claims during the current administration. So we only have the projects in progress, or those projects in operation. But if a new company, I mean, if you are promoting a new project, free land, no concessions, you don't have the permit to stack that claim, because a new law is not permitting those actions. So, I mean, for the moment, new projects, I mean, in a true sense of what means new projects, it couldn't be possible because of those regulations. So politics, it's a very important issue now to be considered, because we know that the silver market and the copper market is very hot on the stocks in the TSX and everywhere, but there's a lot of money on the markets for mining projects, but with that limitation, is not coming new investment into Mexico for that reason. So it is very important to keep in mind that this will be temporal. I mean, it's not forever. We have the hope and we have the faith that this will gonna change in a near future. So in order that new investments comes to Mexico, because Mexico still suffer a lot of possibilities for mining projects.
For sure. And I can
Yes,
see how that would be improved, because I see that, Mexico tends to, care more about sustainability, inclusion of women, digitalization. So those things, I think, will for sure help the industry in general to advance in that sense.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I also like this one fact by the chain of mining in Mexico, Camimex, that they mentioned that Mexico has a 70% of potential for mining, but only 30% has been explored yet. So we have plenty more potential to explore in the near future. And as we were talking right now about this administration, in the beginning, we did see some progress from government and the mining sector. I don't know if you remember when Maestro Quiroga was the undersecretary
Yeah,
for mining.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
even when I was a student, I got to see how he was he was having a constant relationship between government and the industry, and also with the universities as a student. I mean, I got to see him speak and talk with some of the students from university, and we did tend to see some good progress in that direction, but that department inside the government got stopped because of economical issues and didn't continue anymore. Um,
yeah,
but also in 2014, with the elimination of deductibility for pre-operative and exploration expenses, the tax reform essentially led to 40% decline in investment for exploration. So
yeah,
that was a big hit for the industry also.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah, and it is a shame that the subsecretary what Mastro Quiroga represented disappears. So we don't have that crucial position on the government. So it seems that mining sector is abandoned by the current government. So even when COVID starts in 2020, mining industry was declared unessential activity. So with that action, most of the companies broke down. So it was a very, very serious damage to the industry. But fortunately, as you said, a very few percent of the surface is explored, uh, which means that we have such a great potential for new investments. So it is a matter of change their mind of the government, because the Cámara Minera de Mexico is doing very strong and good efforts to do that in order to reconsider and to bring back the subsecretary of mining issues in Mexico. So let's see what happens.
So speaking a little bit about the value of the natural resources. So when it comes to investing in, let's say, a junior company, we know that the mining investments are always volatile. So there's a very high risk when it comes to these type of investments. So are there any specific criteria that that we should take care of, or that can tell us that a particular mining company in Mexico is worth the investment? Like anything that they're practicing or that they're doing that can tell us that this company has a future?
Well, I think, yeah, I have a good example for that. But before to present my example, I would like to say that and a specific goals to be considered is that Mexico has a great potential, but it needs much more exploration. And the example is that I would like to mention is the case of Mexican Gold Corp, Mexican Gold Mining Corp, before was Source Exploration, which acquires a prominent concession in Las Minas mining district in southern Mexico, especially located in Veracruz. And this company faces a lot of problems since the beginning. I mean, a very hard working conditions because of the topography, a very tough community, environmental issues because it's a kind of forest over there. So the exploration of this company starts in 2011. We put the first hole in 2011, and since then until now, the project has the company has evaluated approximately 500,000 ounces gold, silver combined. So it's in pre-feasibility to build a mine. So this is a very good example of how, besides the problems, or besides all the I don't know how can I say that, but because all these contradictions or problems,
Yes.
the company solved it very well, and it's a good example of what how a company could solve all these issues in order to moving forward from the exploration to the production. It is a good example.
Great.
I don't know if I answer.
Yes, yes,
Very
no,
well.
definitely makes sense. Yes, it's important to like you said in the beginning, it's we need to wait because Mexico, like Martin said as well, has a lot of potential for exploration. So we can't really say at this point, we can't conclude anything at this point still. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Mr. Jesus, I also wanted to ask you, um, throughout the history of mining in Mexico and as of to right now, how have you seen the environmental impact of mining, and well, also the social perception that comes along with it?
That's a very good question, because social perception, I mean, is divided. I mean, it's very radical in certain ways. I mean, there's groups of organizations that is against the mining activity because of the accidents provoked by a catastrophe related with mining activity, like in Sonora, for example, in Rio Conchos, or some other localities. But I could say that those incidents are mostly provoked by major companies which are in production, not on exploration companies. I mean, the juniors doesn't impact doesn't impact significantly the environment, but major companies on the history of the mining activity in Mexico shows some disasters, for say. So my perception is that in some cases mining companies, foreign companies or Canadian companies, take care a lot of the environment. I mean, my experience with some Canadian companies is that what I see is that they really take care of the environmental issues, and then they really respect all the procedures and protocols to take care of the environment. So it's hard to me to say that, but which damage mostly the environment are local companies or some miners without knowledge of the importance to preserve the environment. So most of the groups that are against the mining industry, all those groups are smartphone users or everyone has a mobile device or whatever. So if they really wanted to be congruent, they should live in a cave, because I don't see an economy without copper, without silver, without lithium,
Absolutely.
without, I
Yes.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
to preserve the actual way of living, you need the raw materials coming from the mining industry. So the perception, I could say, it's not balanced, but it's divide between those who are in pro mining and those who are against the mining industry. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that maybe there's some education missing because, like you said, like everything around us is made of minerals. It's not just, like we don't mine gold just to sell it in, like boutique shops, like gold is in our
Yeah,
smartphones and
yeah, everywhere.
same thing with oil, like it's present in our, even something like a toothbrush uses the oil that, that's used, that's a material that's found in in that type of materials like you said. So I feel like there's a little bit of an educational gap there when it comes to being against mining,
And especially that educational gap, it's much more clear in our communities, because unfortunately our level of studies is too low comparing with some other countries. So it is a shame to say that, but it's true. The government should make a stronger policies in order to improve our education level in every sense. Yes.
and I definitely see that Mexico is going towards more of an ESG practice, which is for environmental, social, and governance practices. So that
Yeah.
there's always room for improvement. There's nothing perfect, and we can always improve to be better as an industry, as a country. But like you said, to be against mining, that's a little bit of an extreme idea. So I think maintaining, like taking into consideration sustainability and the environment, while like trying to provide as much to the economic growth of the country is like the balance that I see is feasible.
I would like to add one thing about this. Probably is one of the contributions of the junior companies exploring Mexico, uh, because as all those companies are listed on the TSX and are public, so they have to be they have to move very carefully, because there's a lot of shareholders watching every move of the company. So the junior companies brings into our activity a lot of protocols to assure that everything is doing well. I mean, that everything is doing with clarity and with professionalism, etc. So that won't happen before the juniors arrives to Mexico. I mean, the mining activity in Mexico was a disaster. Now we have a new philosophy of exploration, taking care of everything, taking care of the environment, taking care of the communities, taking care of the protocols of exploration itself. So that's a good point of this new change on the exploration in Mexico. Absolutely, yeah.
One good example that I would like to mention, which Mohammed just actually mentioned about the balance, but is more into the production phase of a mine. I remember hearing about a case for Agnico Eagle. It was either
Yeah.
for La India mine or Pinos Altos, either one. but it was on how one of their leach pads, their old leach pads that they weren't using, they actually started to grow food for livestock, and it allowed them to, seeing a leach pad gives off a bad perception of toxic waste and all that stuff. But they were able to a whole leach pad that looks a dirt color, to have it actually all green and have livestock eating off of it. So I guess that's one great example of how mining companies are transitioning into a more sustainable manner and working with the environment, but also with the communities.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, so I guess we would like to conclude with a final question, which is your advice. Yeah, so what would you give as an advice to the investors in the industry of in the mining industry of Mexico, in order to have a better speculation for the future? Are there any specific metrics that we should take into account when we're ready to invest?
Well, this is important question because um, this could detonate much more investment in Mexico. I would like to say to the investors that always keep in mind the huge potential that Mexico has in mineral deposits. The geology of Mexico show us that the country has probably the largest epithermal vein system belt all over the world, and that is the Sierra Madre Occidental. So it's not only the epithermal deposits, because always the epithermal are linked with porphyry systems. So you can see the top 10 companies exploring in Mexico, 8 of them are located in northwest Mexico, in Sonora and Chihuahua and Durango states. So the other are in Guanajuato, and 2 of them, first place and third places in Guerrero, in the Guerrero Gold Belt. Mm-hmm. So we have probably the largest epithermal system province, metallogenetic province in all over the world. So on the other hand, the geology of Eastern Mexico probably hosts the major skarn province deposits all over the world. So if you are looking for base metals related to a skarn replacement carbonate deposits, you go forward to eastern part of Mexico. And if you are looking for epithermal precious metals and base metals as well, you go to the Sierra Madre Occidental. But there's another option. I mean, and nobody talks about southern Mexico. And I put 2 examples of Oaxaca, because Oaxaca show us a polyfacetic mineralized styles areas. So nobody is paying attention to southern Mexico, and that is because no cartography is done over there. So my first and probably my most important advice to the investors is to see what geology of Mexico offers in terms of metallogenetic provinces, and for sure they will be locating some different exciting deposits. And in particular, if some new company arrives to make a mining project, my suggestion is always to have in good standing the community relationships, to respect the traditions, and to hire locals, and to to be part of the community, because that is very important. I always said to the CEO of Source Exploration when we were exploring in Veracruz, management sometimes doesn't act with didn't act with correctly with the communities. I mean, they arrive into the project without saying hello, without saying goodbye, I'm leaving, nothing, just comes and goes. And my role on that project was to keep in good standing the community relationships. Unfortunately, this CEO gave me the reason, and we built a very strong, good community relationship with that community, and the project is now a reality. So this, those are my advices for new investment in Mexico, to keep in mind the huge potential, and in more detail to keep in good standing the community relationships.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, very helpful. Yeah. And,
yeah, no problem. Yeah.
And yeah, with that being said, I mean, we've concluded our episode, and Mr. Jesus, I'd like to thank you again for your participation, and thanks for being here. We really appreciate your presence, and for all your thoughtful advices and knowledge. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much to you and all the ProMind. Thanks, Martin. Thanks, Ms. Paola Reyes, and all the staff for this great opportunity to share a little bit of my experience in mining projects in Mexico. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Sounds good. So it looks like we don't have any questions. Let me check on Facebook. No, we're good here. So if anyone has a question, feel free to leave it here in the Q&A section. Otherwise, it looks like we're good to go. So thanks again, and wish you all a great day and a great weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Have a good time.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Jesus.
Bye-bye.
See you then. Bye-bye.